Hello, everybody. Today is July 19th, 2019. It's a Friday. It's a Friday morning as I'm recording this. This is Dom's Sketchcast with a very special guest who I'll be announcing in just a few moments. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for making it here with me. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, shout out to you. If you're watching this on YouTube, shout out to you. If you're watching this from some kind of cryptic decryption technology that exists in the future and modern humans as we know them are all gone, shout out to you as well. Dusting off those digital bones of the relics we've left behind and all the stupid memes and cartoons and retweets are all left, all that's left of our society. Shout out to you as well. We have a very special episode today. It's a very amazing episode. I'm happy to admit that we've gotten this far. We've gotten this far, 33 episodes, without me jumping off a metaphorical cliff and being like, I quit, I'm not doing this. I struggle with that every week. That's something I struggle with. And I'll talk to you more about that later. But first, some announcements. Got to tell you guys real quick. The best way to support this show is patreon.com/valet. Sign up on patreon.com/valet. You'll get gifts. You'll get prizes. You'll get stuff. Every week I'm posting you content on there. Sketches, old stories that I've made, stuff that you'll never see anywhere else. You'll get to see things early. There are exclusive vlogs, and I am building tutorials right now. I'm building genuine, honest to fucking God tutorials to show you guys really the basics of animation as I see it, the basics of figure drawing and still life drawing as I see it. This is stuff that I haven't really dove into sincerely on my YouTube channel, so it'll be fun showing you guys that stuff. We have some new patrons that came through as well. Shout out to you all. Soon we'll be doing original drawing giveaway. So one of you from the top tier, the Valet tier, will be getting an original card-sized drawing. That's original art from me. That shit is priceless. It's going to keep going up in price. It's a little pro tip for you all. Someday I'll be like my good mentor and pal Basquiat, and my shit will be selling for like $2 million, and you guys will be like, damn, I'm so glad I bought a print. Speaking of print, domrapper.com/shop is where you can buy shirts from me. I keep revamping the site or adding to it, not necessarily revamping, but improving it. The site has new cool product images on there. It's getting shinier, it's getting nicer. And last night I put up the Freddie Gibbs Mad Lib drawing for their new album Bandana, and I made this awesome image to go with it. It was a painting I made, and it is definitely one of my best, and I see that reflected outside of me. You all have told me that as well. I have prints for sale on domrapper.com/shop. I sold 3 last night. There are only 2 left of the Freddie Gibbs print. That is amazing. And another big announcement. The Dead King print sold out. That's it. That's it for that run of Dead King. I will never print those again in that form. I'll probably add a bunch of layers to it if I do decide to sell it again, but I will never sell that again in that form. So shout out to all of you who pick that up. If you do buy something from me, please send me a picture of it if you can. I want to know where these things go. I want to know where they are in your wall. Like, I'm just astounded by the fact that, I have people buying from Mexico, Ireland, Sweden, Norway, Wakanda. I got some Wakandans buying some of this stuff. Dom, I love your work so much, man. If you're one of these people who have showed up to watch the interview, it's not really an interview. It's more of a conversation between 2 artists. 2 artists opening their brains up to the world, to the process, to themselves, to you all, to each other. That's what's happening. And that's coming up in just a moment. One more quick announcement. I want to remind you guys that at the end of this episode, I do questions. I'm going to answer your questions. So if you want to think of some questions while the chat is happening, go ahead and send them to ask@domrabber.com. You can DM them to me. You can send me them on Twitter. You can do all of that stuff. You guys know where to find me. I'm very easily found. Very easily found. I'm not at the point yet where I'm employing a bunch of robots to answer you all directly, but I may be employing sentient robots to have full Turing test conversations with you in the future. But that time is not now. I will speak to you. My guest this week is an amazing animator, an amazing artist. And I can say this now, I think he's one of the best people doing animations right now. I think he's one of the most original, creative, animated minds right now. And I feel as though it's like I'm living in the future, and I'm almost seeing this person the way everyone is going to end up seeing him. I don't know, 50, 100, 150 years from now. The way people look at Mobius, the way people look at Basquiat, the way people look at Warhol, this is happening right now in the animation world. We are in a golden, platinum, silver age of animation and art making right now. We're inside of it, and Justin Tomchuk, a.k.a. Umami Animations, is a huge part of it. He's the creator of Interface and a bunch of other amazing, amazing artwork and animation on his YouTube channel, Umami Animations. If you all haven't seen his work, do yourself a favor, pause this, go watch his stuff. The link's in the show notes below. Go watch some of Interface. Go watch anything, even if you see a small thing, the little McDonald's animations. Click one of those, watch it, and come back. We're going to enter Umami's room right now, which has been kind of left unoccupied. I haven't really seen him in there lately, but I've summoned him with my powers. I've summoned him back to his room, or at least knocked on the door and been like, hey, you in there? And he happens to be in there right now. So we're going to go chat with Umami. And this is a very fun chat. This is a very fun chat we had. Like I said, it was very stream of consciousness, which I like. I just like it. I don't really like the boom bap style of questions where you have a card and you're like, so you say you like kitty litter. I don't like that kind of thing. I like to just go where I go, and that's what happened in this conversation. I had a good time, and there was a lot of insight. There was a lot of talk of the future, a little bit of talk of the past, a little bit of worry about where the internet is headed, and I don't know if you all worry about that sort of thing too. So, all right, without further ado, let us enter the world, the room of Umami Animations, aka Justin Tomchuk. Stick around. Once again, we are not in physical space. We are existing in digital space. And the viewers, perhaps, would like to know what kind of digital space we're existing inside of. Now, the last time we spoke, you created a room. Do you remember anything about this room?
Yeah, it was pretty kind of plain, I guess. It had carpet and lamps and stuff.
It's got Hendrix hat. It's got Mischief with arms,
Right.
some lamps. Is there anything you want to add to the room?
Yeah, I want to add like zebra print wallpaper.
Oh, hell, okay, okay. It just got good.
Yeah, that would be good. So some zebra print wallpaper and maybe like a really nice chandelier.
Okay, I said one item, but you got
Okay,
two.
dude.
Yeah, no,
All
no.
right.
You spent your clout points. Justin's got enough clout points to be able to buy as much as he wants. That's the secret.
Okay.
I'm imagining this is like Mischief's pad if he was like a pimp in the 70s or something. A
Yeah,
Mischief pimp. I could see it.
it's either that or like maybe he's like, when there's like kids and then bright colors, they make them happy, like just high
Yeah.
contrast, bright colors.
Oh man. Can I ask a question about Percy? Is this going to be like a super? I don't. If this is a super noob question or you don't want to answer it, just let me know.
Go ahead.
Is Percy? Okay, I'm gonna think. I'm gonna think of a better way to ask this. I guess. How definitive are your roles for your characters? Like, do you feel like has Mischief changed for you since the beginning in terms of how you perceive him, or did you always imagine something like, okay, shapeshifting, blah 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 blah, like, or has it morphed?
Yeah. Well, I got these ideas in my head, and I just got to make sure that each episode conforms to those ideas, and that when I make something new, and there's like some new backstory or whatever, it still makes sense in my head, right? So people might think, I usually don't like talking about the lore or whatever of Interface, but I do think I can say that in the first episode when he says the year was 1943 and all this stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean that's when he was actually created. There was more to it before that, because if you think about like how he came to exist, it's just bizarre how he just got destroyed and then turned into a pink noodle man. That doesn't make sense. Why does he have a clown nose all of a sudden, right? Like there's something more to it that he's not letting Henrik know. And another thing about Percy is, actually, I didn't even come up with that name. That was the collaboration I did with the Minute Hour, which is another YouTube channel. Does like kind of like YouTube radio shows, I guess.
Yeah, he's great.
Or monologues. He came up with that name at the end because I was working with him on the story, and I didn't want the announcer to say Mischief the Clown because his name isn't actually Mischief. That's what I call him, and that's what everyone calls him. But he doesn't really have a name. Like, maybe one of the things is that he doesn't ever actually give anyone a real name, And so when the character Percy, which is the human that was a clown at that time in the past, he was named Percy.
Okay.
That's not Mischief, though. That's, if you think about like him, Mischief, whatever it was, he took the body of Percy and became something more. But at the end, it even kind of says, he turns around and says, Percy, I thought we changed that. Yeah. Kind of more like he did get changed. He's no longer Percy. You know what I mean? He says it like, I thought we changed that in the sense of a showman, right? Like, that's not a very good name for a like crazy clown, right? Percy the Clown. But at the same time, it's kind of like he physically changed. And when he says, I changed that, there's something about him that changed. But you don't know really what he changed into. You know what I mean? Because we don't know the official name of whatever it is that Mischief is. I would just call him Mischief, but, that's not his real name. Yeah. You know what I mean? Does that kind of make sense? It's a little confusing, but I guess the whole series is confusing. So
yeah, you're right. And I mean, there's only. I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be tactical about this question. Is like, I mean, when I watch your stuff, it occupies a David Lynchian type space in my head where it's like I don't really need concrete answers. Like, if you told me that something is X or Y, it's like, to me, it still feels like you could change it the next day. You could tell me something different. I'm like, okay, that makes sense too. Even if you changed your mind and I would change my content, that's fine. The Percy scene was beautiful. Like, I watched some of the parts where you were animating the circus, and I think it seems to me like your process is still like evolving. You're trying all sorts of new shit. And I love how it comes together. And the cinematics of it, the cinematography, all that stuff. I just have a list of compliments here. I'm just going to keep reading off.
Well, honestly, dude, you know what? I was on YouTube a couple weeks ago, and some YouTube channel popped up, and I might be able to like get the name so you can credit him, but he posted a tutorial on how to make 2D drawings look 3D using the Liquify tool in After Effects. And I was like, what? And I looked at it, right? And let's see if I can just scroll down here and just pull it up maybe. Jesus, I'm like, oh, here it is. Okay. So the guy his Twitter name is @MrPastabomb. He's like he used to do animations for like video games, I guess, kind of like cutscene animations that are more like 2D, but they've been animated. Kind of like cell phone animations, you know what I mean?
Okay. Like late 90s, early 2000s type animation?
No, like modern stuff, but it's more like a, how okay, in the those video games, Max Payne, those cutscenes?
Yeah.
Kind of like those, but like more intense with movement and like flames, but it's very static looking. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And he posted this tutorial where you can like
I know what you're talking about.
Erase some of the face. Yeah,
Okay.
with the liquify tool, you just blend it, right? You just
Yeah.
push it around, and then it actually makes a 2D drawing look 3D. And so I don't know. I've been trying to doing that with the thing, and it actually worked pretty well. It's very
So
subtle though.
you use that on the microphone too, right?
Yeah, yeah, I did. Yeah,
I think, yeah, that looked great, man. I loved it. Oh man.
it's cool.
What other tools have you been playing around with? Like, what do you want to do more in your animation?
Uh, okay, so towards the end of part one of interface, I was doing a lot of 3D stuff, and it was actually slowing me down because I was like doing everything in 3D, like the environments and stuff, and I was like, this is like not helping the animation really. It's not, people aren't watching it for the 3D. It's cool to have the 3D once in a while, but you got to use it in reserve, like to emphasize a shot, you know? And I was
Yeah.
using it kind of gratuitously. So I try to pull back, and now ever since episode 12, I haven't really done any like real 3D. But I've been just trying to, increase the animation on characters' faces too. Like the Ringmaster is a lot more expressive than, say, Henrik's granddaughter or daughter, Henrik's daughter from like episode 7. When she was speaking, I would literally just only animate her mouth, not even her jaw.
Right.
So when she talks, it doesn't really look right at all. But actually, you have to animate the cheekbones, no, not the cheekbones, but the muscles around the cheekbones, the jaw, right? And sometimes the nose flares a little bit when people are talking,
Yeah.
or like their eyes go up like this, or or their their forehead. And I try to do that with the ringmaster, so he has a lot of different movement in his face. Even his hair moves a little bit.
Yeah, I noticed you put a couple of points of articulation in there, and it does. That was a standout. Did you? Did you do the thing where you recited the lines and then just mimicked your own jaw movements, or like that kind of thing, or did you
I
just
actually,
storyboard her?
I just kind of, I did a base animation, a base drawing, which is a static image of using a reference of some guy, and I just drew the top hat on him and all the other stuff. I gave him different hair and stuff. But then I just kind of drew his mouth in different shapes.
Hmm.
That's it. And I usually label it like A-E-I-O-U or like
Yeah.
O or something like that.
My friend showed me this tool on After Effects that you can use. Where they basically you can program all those things. I think those are called phonemes when people that the IE or that stuff when we all have to do. Animators all know this. You got to make like 7 or 8 of them, or you keep adding them. But
Yeah.
there's this tool in Adobe Audio some shit where you can basically attach you can attach those syllables or phonemes or vowels to certain um, you can just attach it to an audio file of your voice and it'll just
Okay.
attach the corresponding thing, so it'll just do it. It'll,
Automatically, eh?
yeah, and it's each PNG, but
Oh,
obviously the
really?
outside of it, outside everything outside needs to be transparent. And
Yeah.
the other problem is that anything under it obviously needs to just be static because
Right.
it's just gonna be like putting a piece of paper on top of whatever you're
Yeah.
doing. But it could help you. I mean, I've used that.
That's what's it called? Is there like a plugin name, or is it a
Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head. I'll post it in the show notes afterwards, and
for
I'll send
sure?
the link to you. But that's been super helpful for me.
Right now, I'm just doing it manually. I made the default frame setting on import to be 2 frames.
Yeah,
So I import them in the Premiere, and I just like if I know what the word is, I can basically drag out the vowels in my head. Like
yeah.
I just go and then that's the
Just
word. It
get the
takes me a couple minutes, but
yeah. It's just it is busy work, but I think computers are almost there to the point where you can just tell them what to do. Like for instance, that software I told you, and even what you can do with manually trying to put those syllables in. It is absurd the amount of power we have as
yeah.
artists and animators now, as opposed to we can do the work of like 100-person studio now.
Yeah. I was thinking about that actually recently. I was like, geez, man, if I tried doing something like this, like 10, even like 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
like it would just been I don't even know if it'd been possible. I mean, really, because like the amount of computer software that has been created even into the past 15 years, like,
Yeah.
I don't
And that's one of the things that stresses me out whenever I'm feeling lazy or don't want to create is that's the thing that plagues me. It's this push between oh my god, this shit is so amazing now. You have to do more of it. Versus, yeah, but I think I need a break. And it's like,
Yeah.
do you realize the power in your pocket? You must use it. Like all of a sudden, I turn into Doc Brown from Back to the Future. But um, I'm trying to lean more heavily into like I got to take full advantage of this sort of thing. I mean, do you struggle with those thoughts at all of like feeling feeling super
Yeah, a little bit.
techno privileged? I think that's what we are, honestly.
A little bit. But I feel like at the same time, if you look back in the past, you're like, there's all these different moments where you feel like, oh, if I could have capitalized that, if only I was born back then, right, I could have done this or
Yeah,
that. But now you got to capitalize on today, which is, okay, so 50 years ago, to get into the film industry in the United States, you probably just had to go down there and find a job somewhere, and you eventually work your way up. That's how, like people like Stephen, well, not Steve, James Cameron.
yeah,
I was reading about him the other day, and I was like, oh, he just kind of like just started working his way up from the bottom, basically, right?
yeah.
Isn't that how I think that maybe I might be getting confused with someone else, but or like what's the other guy? The guy from Star Wars, that was like the
Lucas,
carpenter. No, what's his George?
the guy who made all the
I'm dropping my name right now. His name I forget. The guy was like encased in that concrete thing.
Han Solo.
Han Solo, right? But
Oh,
what's the
sorry, I said his
yeah.
Han, Rebel Scum, duh. No, Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford was just the carpenter, right? Like he just kind of
Yeah,
showed up on set. I don't know if it's that easy to do anymore. I mean, I feel like these days you have to be like kind of like doing something relatively popular in the first place, and then they'll be
yeah,
like give you a chance. You know what I mean?
yeah.
A lot
Which
of
is
directors these days, I see like the guy who directed Whiplash. He made that short film that was very popular, and then he made Whiplash, and then he had the opportunity to make those other movies. What was the other one?
La La Land.
La La Land. Yeah,
Damien Chazelle. He's a real one. He's very good.
super talented. Yeah.
Is he Canadian?
Uh, I don't know actually. I have
Damien
no idea.
Chazelle seems Canadian. Yeah, but so I think it's one of the pros and cons of. I think it's really good for creators now in terms of making their own shit and not having to go through a system, because that's it's kind of the plus side and the downside. Having a huge system behind you, a huge studio, you get the money to make bigger things, but now it's like, can you imagine an executive being like, Mischief, we tested with audiences and his voice is a little. They said it was scary. It's a little scary. Could you?
Or it's hard to understand, or
Right,
yeah,
right. Like what? And I think yeah, that sort of stuff I think happens no matter what once you're getting money from a big production place or whatever. But I think the ideal is you make, like you said, you make enough of your name for yourself that when you get in there, they won't be able to tell you as much what to do.
well, yeah, because I feel like nowadays, if you're able to establish yourself somewhat on the internet, you can say no to other people if they're
Right,
offering you
right.
opportunities that they don't give you like some leverage of creative control, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Oh, I can still just do stuff on the internet, for the next 10 years if I keep working on the animations the way I have been, right?
yeah.
But I mean, there is the thing though with those big studios. It's like the next level. Obviously, everything goes in the theaters, and I feel like with the internet, you're still kind of like very obscure, even if you are popular on the internet.
Hmm.
It's hard to kind of break past that. You know,
I think that's also because we're in this fucking, I don't know what you would call it. It's like, to me it feels like YouTube 4.0 or something. YouTube is not what it was back in 2006, obviously, and it's gone through these different iterations, but
yeah.
now that shit feels like, I mean, they're taking your ad revenue away. It's like no one's making money on this shit anymore. It's not like it used to be. Like I think it like about 3 years ago and before then, people were making okay money on ads. Like
Hmm.
I've had months where I've made $100, which is crazy on ads, and
Yeah.
that doesn't happen for anybody anymore. And I'm small fries, and I
Right.
know this that it's changing so much, and people. So we're in this new age of YouTube where I think they are really controlling the content more, or at least being like, oh, they make it so that it's not easily searched as much, and they are dicking around with the formula a lot.
Yeah. I think I've kind of predicted, like, okay, so I started doing these documentaries with Carolina about 3 years ago, and I was like, okay, we're gonna make stuff that's safe, family friendly, no swear words. It's gonna be something that people might want to watch 20 years from now because it's just gonna be a documentary on like how something's made, like maple syrup or so.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so the thing is though, when we started, there wasn't really any. It was like 2016 or it was late 2015. None of the adpocalypse stuff actually happened yet,
Yeah.
and but then it slowly did start happening, and it's almost like, well, if YouTube were to continue growing at the rate it was growing, and if it wants to be seen, on televisions everywhere, because that's eventually, it's not even finished yet. I think it's going to go further. You know how there's like a
Mm.
regulating body that looks over television here? I don't know if you guys have the same
Yeah,
thing in the
we have
United States.
FCC. Yeah.
Yeah, we had. It's only a matter of time before it starts affecting YouTube, and then the government gets involved as well. You know what I mean? Right now, people are complaining about
Right.
YouTube controlling everything, but it's gonna happen where when everyone's looking at videos on the internet, and like
Everyone, right? It becomes like
it becomes
the
something
new
they have to
TV.
regulate, and I think it's just gonna get worse, unfortunately. There was already, I think in Canada, they tried to make a tax on like, I think it was like internet tax or something like that. So I don't know exactly what the details. It kind of they didn't go anywhere.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens. An amazing technology gets made, and you have this grace period where you can use the artists can use it, real people can benefit from it before it
Yeah.
just every just good thing about it just gets sucked away. And
Grace period. Yeah.
obviously I'm kind of being obnoxious about this, but you've seen it with TV, you've seen it with radio. All these things get changed by corporations, it gets changed by the government, and I mean, really, I feel like you're talking a lot about censorship of ideas, and this is not even just for controversial stuff. It's just for like, okay, if there's a sex scene or a scene with violence, automatically it's a thing where I don't know if it's like this as much in Canada, but here, I mean, we're actually more okay with violence than sex here. Way more
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. For
Like
sure.
a rated R movie. I mean,
It's
like guy could get his fucking head chopped off,
yeah.
his head severed from his body. But if you saw a penis,
Yeah.
unmutilated,
Yeah.
like mothers would be calling their congressman.
Uh,
Isn't that pure
it's
insanity?
it's weird, and it's also weird, the whole difference between like being able to show a male nipple
Yeah,
versus a female nipple.
yeah.
Like, what if they just fucking photoshopped a male nipple over the female's nipple, and then what is that? Fine then?
You're going to jail, Justin. I'm calling.
Was,
I'm calling
was
Trudeau.
that
Trudeau's on the line
okay?
right fucking now, Doc.
You know how
You're
they
gonna,
have like those deep fakes these days, and they're like
right,
able to
right.
change their face. Just change all the females. Just put male nipples on them,
Dude,
and you can put that stuff on television now.
I love that. I love that concept because, it's like that's not gonna work. The nipple won't work. But here's how you get them with, I'd say 4 inches of a bar with a man's nipples. You need more, because obviously they'll let you cover a half her body with a dude's half, right?
Right.
With his, so you just got to figure out the exact exact amount of space. You just keep squeezing it down lower until the government's like, oh, it's okay, I guess. It's 1 centimeter. Could I do that?
Yeah.
God, horrible. Before the regulation happens, though, one thing that I hope creators start getting into is ownership of our materials. And I'm not just talking about the fact that obviously you're an indie artist and no one's like a partial stakeholder in interface, like you own all this shit, but like what I mean is also like ownership of the platform it's on. I think that's that next level shit where it's like,
Yeah.
they can try to regulate YouTube. They cannot just, or at least for now, I think it's going to take a while before they can just regulate private websites, because YouTube is a building that we're using. We're using their materials because we're
Yeah.
using the giant mall that is YouTube, and people are just walking in and out of it, and we rent spaces out, and they're free, kind of, except they just post ads everywhere. But like, I think we're gonna have to start making our own buildings, or at least thinking about it, starting that combo, because these motherfuckers any day they could just start deleting our shit. They could say, I mean, they already do it. They take people's shit off or just say it's censored now or it's unfriendly. Like what?
Yeah, man. And it's not just about YouTube. Like, there's people where they're having their credit cards, like Visa basically is declining to allow these people as customers. So you can't. If you want to make donations to certain people, Visa saying no, we won't process those anymore. Or even some website hosting providers will be like, nah, if you're going to be making a website on our service, we won't serve you anymore. We don't have to. We're a business, right? That's how they justify it.
Wait, I don't understand. Wait, they're turning you away for what now?
Have you heard about this? Okay, so
No.
say what you want about Alex Jones, but
Oh boy, here we go.
he's been declined to from Visa, so that he can't even process. I think it was Visa, right? We can't process donations to his own website. Or if it's like PayPal, for instance, right? There's only one PayPal.
Oh,
They're taking away
okay.
PayPal from people, and website hosting providers are taking away that from all sorts of different people, not just somewhat crazy people like him, but
Yeah.
on all sides of the spectrum, whichever side you see it.
But it's
So
so what you're saying is you're supporting this concept that it's like again we have this opinion of these organizations that it's sort of like, oh, it's this place I can go and distribute money and like they'll I can give my business to them, but they do have the power to withdraw these things on a whim potentially, but on like for whatever reason. So it's temporary, right?
even
These
Bitcoin.
institutions. Yeah.
I was going to say, sorry,
Is it?
sorry for interrupting you,
No,
but I
no,
was going to
no.
say, even for the Bitcoin, there is a way that they can shut down individual coins.
How? Who's gonna
Yeah,
do that? I thought it
I
was. I
don't.
thought it was managed by the whole organization. Supposedly, the community is supposed to own. Right? I don't know. Like, you can
Yeah.
tell.
Well, and about Facebook now is making their own coin, right?
We're
So
dead. We're dead.
it's just like
We're dead.
like Facebook's going to be able to control a large percentage of people's money, which is just messed up. Like,
Listen, man. I'm convinced. Look, the treadmill is already going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and unfortunately, we have to jump on it because I'm going to tell you this too, and I'm not even conspiracy guy. I have to clarify that. I think conspiracy and like big business is taking over, blah blah blah, doom and gloom type shit. I think it's funny sometimes, but like I live in DC, so it's like I'm at the epicenter of the vortex of insanity, right? And I have to push it out of my head a lot of the time. But Amazon is moving here. They're moving to Crystal City, Virginia, which is it's like 5 miles away
mhm.
from the White House.
Okay, so like their
So
headquarters, or
yeah, the headquarters. Or
okay,
I think they call it HQ too. So it's going to be one of their massive centers.
okay,
So you see it as like it's a strategic play. But I guess what I'm saying is Facebook having money is that's the kind of shit you're going to start seeing, man. I think you're going to start seeing stuff like Google is going to be able to fucking go to a small island nation. And I know this sounds insane, all right? But
yeah,
this is my gamble. This is what I say is going to happen. Google is going to go to a country like I'm Haitian, right?
okay,
This Haiti is poor as fuck. A lot of uneducated people, a lot of people who are just illiterate, don't have their own businesses, whatever, just like scrapping to like every day to get something.
hmm
They'll go to a place like Haiti. They'll be like, "Hey, look, we know the deal. All right, here's what's gonna happen. We train the whole fucking country. We own half of you. Like we own the stock and whatever, like whatever's produced, we own a percentage of it, and we'll give you jobs. And your people are gonna fucking become like damn like floating around tech geniuses. They put like microchips in their brains and stuff. But I feel like they're gonna be able to influence massive countries,
yeah.
but if they're not already doing it, I don't fucking know. But Facebook money, it's
I think
you
there's gonna be a point in time though when the governments are just gonna be like, nah, you guys gotta, they're gonna just either split the companies up or whatever. I think
right.
a lot of these companies think they almost think they're countries. Like Mark Zuckerberg probably thinks, oh, you can take over the world with Facebook, right? He's almost as powerful as a country. If he wanted to, he could just section off, like you're saying, right?
Yeah.
You could employ like a whole country basically, and or do something crazy if he really wanted to, right? What just happened recently? Yesterday, they got fined $5 billion because of the
Facebook?
Cambridge, yeah, because of the Cambridge Analytica hacks, whatever. And $5 billion is to them like nothing. Like they made $5 billion in like like a month or something like that. If you look at their spread, their annual reports. So this huge thing that everyone was talking about, and that was basically made Mark Zuckerberg go to Congress and all that and speak to the government. He got a $5 billion fine, which is not even going to affect anything. Like he's just going to he's write it off, basically, right?
I think. Well, they had this thing with Teddy Roosevelt, the antitrust thing, where they were busting trust, and we've seen this kind of thing before. My concern is that these organizations are like so international, and they're not. I mean, sure, Facebook is kind of an American corporation, but it's not. It's like a spider that's like around the whole fucking planet at this point. It doesn't have just one head. So I feel like it'll be really. It's got to be difficult to like disband. How do you get rid of Facebook or even split it? Like that sounds like a mess.
Yeah, I don't know, because like it's not like AT&T when they split them up back in the 40s or whatever. It's social media. I don't know exactly. You can't split up a website. Like I don't know how that. Maybe I don't know.
But that's kind of, from an artistic perspective, I think these questions. I love these kinds of questions and conversations because it gets you thinking. I mean, like, I've always wondered what it would be like if the internet had existed in like Jim Crow era in the U.S. Like if the internet was segregated, and you had some guy to look at you like, is he black? All right, he has to go to this computer, and then the computer is like, it's like a dial-up modem. It's like, but that splitting up, right? This idea of the internet existing in two different versions. I've always wondered about that sort of thing. So it would be cool. Like, what if you had to watch a YouTube video, you had to get two parts. You had to get part 1 and 2 and somehow snap them together to get it to work. It's absurd, but I think it gets that little noodle going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That ramen noodle. So did you move?
No. Well, I'm
like
still where I am.
you're like inside of a box right now. The folks can't see you, but like Justin's been talking to me from a hole in a damn cardboard.
Okay, I got so many of these cardboard boxes full of bubble wrap. Okay. And Carolina got really pissed when I ordered it because when I went downstairs to pick, like the mailman dropped them off, and I just laughed. And then she's like, "Oh fuck, why did he laugh?" Like, because the amount of cardboard in my house it's just too much. And this is not even a quarter of how much I had last week. Yeah. All right. But I've been sending out all those vinyls that people have been ordering, and oh my god. Oh my god!
How many boxes of bubble wrap do you have?
Yeah, well, there was a lot more. There was like about 6 of those big ones, and then, I know I got this is manageable, right? But I need an actual room for this stuff, which I don't have. So,
how bad would not bad? That's not. How many vinyls would have to be getting ordered for you to just hire someone to be like, please help me? Like, what's the amount? If you're getting 50 orders a month.
Well, it didn't actually take me very long to get through the pre-orders. So, I made about 300 of them, and 170 of them got pre-ordered.
Hell yeah, dude.
So I was like, okay, fuck, how am I going to do this? But you know what? It only took me like 2 days. I just had to sit there and package them one by one. But 2 days isn't that long for that many records, is it? I don't know. Like if it got to a point where I got like 1,000 orders, then I'd have to hire someone. Otherwise, I'd go crazy because like.
You like stop doing interface because you're packing too much.
Well, sort of. I mean, like that's what I did last week, right? And it wasn't just packaging them; it was, calling the mailman. I had to call the mailman. Carolina was doing the labels, the printing labels, right? And there's a button on our computer that orders a mailman.
Wait, what?
There's like a Canada Post program, and it's like drop down. It's like order your mailman, and he'll show up. $7, and
Wait, what? That just doesn't seem. What?
So he showed up to our house. The mailman came to me, and I could just give him the boxes because like 170 of them. If I went down to the post office with that would just be a nightmare. So.
That's awesome, man. I mean, congrats on selling those vinyls. I mean, for those of you, I mean, we haven't even talked about the music stuff, man. We haven't even scratched the surface of Hex System. But by the way, I just made a stage. I made a stage inside of the Cerberus house. I don't know if I've showed you the exterior of this house that I'm making. Have I?
Nope.
The rooms are included. I'll show you afterwards. But it's a blue house. There's a Cerberus guarding it. So it's a four-headed Cerberus, and they each have different powers and personalities, and they won't let me in the building. So that's part of my quest, is to figure out how to permanently control them or somehow appease them so that I can go in and out of the building of my own free will.
I see. Yeah.
But we have a stage in there. We have a stage where we have musicians performing now, and they can change the space and do stuff in there. And I want you to perform in there.
Okay.
We'll have some like demon vampires watching your performance. Who's the ideal crowd? And remember, we have all of time and space and different dimensional characters. Whoever. I feel like vampires like Hex System. I just gotta make that assumption.
I don't know, man. I don't really know, honestly. uh,
Canadian demons.
yeah, I guess I don't. I mean, if I'm just going off of, from what I can tell from the orders, it seems to be mostly guys from between 20 and 35. But if I were to, if it was like an animated person or some sort of character, it would probably be like, jeez, man. I don't know. I have to think about that one. I can't think of anything.
yeah. Think about it. I like that. Okay. I feel like we're taxiing towards the ending of our journey. Is it the final journey? No, it is not. It continues. What the fuck am I talking about? There's a window in your room, by the way. But before we leave, there's a window in your room. What's outside of it? Because the last time it was a pixelated rainforest. Has it changed?
I think you just basically like I don't know, like a really bright sun that's like extremely powerful, so that when you look at it, like your eyes go like, or that they shrink, you know.
Oh yeah, okay.
But you know, not the other way around.
Aggressive sun.
Yeah, aggressive sun. You know, like the sun in Super Mario when he like comes down and like attacks you.
Yeah.
And he gets really angry.
Yeah.
It'd be something like that.
Piece of shit, son. Angry. I love it. Justin, what you're doing with Interface, I think, is really, it's not only amazing and just incredible aesthetically, sound-wise, I think it's actually important. I would say it's an important piece of art. Whether or not you know this, or I think you probably feel it from how people are interacting with it, but it's one of my favorite animated things right now. I think it should be on HBO every fucking day. And Denzel should be playing Mischief. You know what I'm saying? Holler at me, Denzel. But I love what you're doing, obviously. For those of you who don't know, I mean, like Justin's channel, you should know. Click in the show notes and all that stuff. But tell people where they can find you. If you have any secret messages to tell them, whatever.
Well, you can find all my animations on YouTube. You just type in Umami, which is UMAMI, and then just animations, and you'll see it all there. Interface is kind of mixed in between all my videos, but the channel is a bunch of sort of like elaborate meme videos, and then there's like the Interface series in between. So, and those meme videos, they're just to kind of like keep your attention while I make the Interface stuff, because that takes me a little bit longer to make. The next meme video I'm making, actually, I spent about 2 hours listening through the last Mark Zuckerberg conference. No, it was a new one. It was called like F8 or something. And he was talking about how like virtual reality is going to change the world and that sort of thing. But I managed to cut it in a certain way so that he's talking about this virtual reality space where you can go and violate the space of all your friends by touching them in, like, inappropriately. It's really fun. I gotta animate that one, but I mostly just got the audio done. So,
dude, if those Zuck cops come after you, the Facebook internet cops who exist in digital space come after you, call me and I'll give them a good wallop for you.
You know what? So I was actually on Facebook recently, and I just decided to quit because they sent me a message saying you have to send them government issued ID. in order to verify the account that I had since 2006.
That's weird. I've never heard of that shit, dude.
It's like, I'm not going to send you my government issued ID. Christ. So that was just like, okay, well, it's over.
You think it's because
It's
of the
been.
barbecue?
Sorry,
Do
what's
you think it's
that?
because of the barbecue video?
Because of the barbecue.
That's what I like to think is that they had those. They had in the top floor of Facebook Canada HQ. They're like, this guy Justin knows too much. You gotta get him.
Yeah, that's
Eating that
possible.
chicken,
I mean, who knows?
nah, but that's scary. Yeah, fuck that. Shout out to the one and only Justin Tomchuk, Umami Animations. Always a pleasure talking to him. Justin and I are working on some collaborative animation experimental stuff in the background, which I hope to show you all soon. Much love to Justin's work that's going up in these film festivals, and I hope it happens more and more. I know it's going to happen more and more, and it will happen if we continue to support each other and as a community and really continue to support work that matters. And I can't stress this enough, and I want to keep talking about this because I'm passionate about it. The people I have on this show are not fuckboys. I don't have fuckboy artists on this show. I don't have people on this show who I'm just talking to because they might be popular or just because like they're popping right now. I really talk to the people who make work that's meaningful to me, and I see these echoes happening as you all are talking back to me in the comments. I think you all see what I'm trying to do, and what people like Umami are trying to do, really do some cool self-expression stuff. So make sure, the point I'm trying to get at is make sure you go and support them. Make sure you let them know I sent you, or don't. That's fine. You can do what you want as long as you're supporting him, as long as you're, and put a little cashola in his pocket. Buy some of his work, some of his stuff on vinyl. I'm just astounded by his musical prowess as well, his ability to make music as HEXSYSTEM, and we'll have him on the stage right now. That I believe Justin Wabbs is occupying that stage right now, still fighting the volcano people or trying to appease them, one of those things. But I would love to have HEXSYSTEM perform on that stage at some point very soon. Thank you for still being here. I hope you're still feeling energetic. I hope you're still feeling attentive to this content. I hope you're not scrambling to go to the next thing, because that's what I fall under a lot of the time. That's what I struggle a lot with, is bouncing from one thing to the next, especially coming from the Washington, D.C. area. That's where I'm from. Everything is bing, 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 bing. I'm curious about where you all are from. That's my question to you all today. Where are you from? And what is the pace like there? Are things slow? Are things quick? Do people like to get shit done, or do they kind of just mosey on around and ramble? What's it like? I like to answer questions on this show, on this nice program. And that's what I'm about to do right now. I'm pulling some questions from YouTube, from my email inbox, and from my IG DMs. We're going to start with a question from the legendary Tommy Tootsters, who apparently his messenger that he sent last time can't make it today. He says, due to the cursed quarter given to him, he has now suffered many migraines and can only speak in Klingon. Instead, I sent his pet dog to deliver my message. My question for you today is one about a huge artistic inspiration of mine, John Kay. Is that the guy who does Ren and Stimpy or something? I think that's who John Kay is. It's hard for me to call him that, though, due to him being a very problematic individual. He was notoriously hard to work with, always being abusive with his coworkers. That's a no-no. That's my new song. That's a no-no. Hey, that's a no-no. That's my XXL freestyle. That's a no-no. And you know my name is Joe Blow. And you know we don't go. All right. So, and he was extremely predatory towards his younger female fans. Oh, I heard of this guy. Ooh. I try not to let this taint my view of one of my childhood shows, but it can be really hard to separate it. My question is, are there any artists that have inspired you over the years but have a hard time enjoying due to their problematic nature? And is it all right for me to like John Kay's work still, even if I don't necessarily like him? All right. As I'm gonna keep my hand out to just keep this your messenger's pet dog away from me because he's kind of slimy, and I don't really think it's a dog. I think it might be a person who got who got turned into a dog or something like that. But this is a tough one. All I can do is tell you my stance. I'm not saying it's the right stance. I'm not saying I'm somehow correct, holier than thou. I'm not taking, and I'm just saying to you how I see it. I'm gonna shoot from the hip. Damn, John Kay's work. You know, this is something that comes up a lot now. This is something that comes up a lot now with, and it's important. It's important for us to have conversations about how we see people, how we see ourselves, and how we see other people. That's what's happening. The internet is being used as a mirror right now. As I'm recording this, I'm looking at myself saying this. And Tommy Tootsters, you're listening to this question that you've asked, right? And obviously this has always happened, this has always existed, but now it's becoming hyper. We're becoming hyper aware of ourselves and other people and how we see them. One conversation I had with my therapist recently was about identity and about anxiety coming from a discrepancy between how we see ourselves and how other people see us. And identity is a tricky thing when we think about artists that we love. I mean, there are stories about Basquiat being problematic. I am of the camp of people where I think there are some, for me, I'm talking about me, there are some things that are unforgivable. If someone does it, I can't watch or consume their things because I can't stop thinking about those acts. That doesn't happen to me often. Usually the people who that happens to, I wasn't fucking with their shit anyway, so this is not something I have to confront. And sometimes I do have to confront those things. There are times when I just take those things and I lock them in a basement of whatever they've done, criminal activities and all that stuff, and I lock it in the basement and I don't think about it. And there's sometimes I have to think about those things, but I think it's all right as consumers to engage on that level. I mean, you have a choice. I think you have a choice on how you deal with these things. You're an adult now, and you have a choice. You can decide how you're going to feel about these things. And I think one good way to proceed is you can always condemn the actions of the individual. You can condemn the actions of the individual at whatever point in their life they were. And if they're a criminal, that means that they're serving under the justice system. If they haven't been accused or convicted yet in a court of law, that's something I personally feel passionate about, where it's like I might not necessarily know all the details, and stuff might be hearsay, it might be alleged, it might be stuff that people have been talking about, but I would suggest doing more of what you're doing. Talk to people about it. Talk about what happened, why you feel it's wrong, and what are you going to do to change some of these things in yourself. I think that's one solid way to approach this. And another way to approach this is, it's just use that energy not so much to think about John Kay. You don't have to think about him. I mean, you can, and I do think you can separate the work, because it's not just him. It's not just him who worked on these things. It's a lot of other people. You can use that energy to uplift other people who are in his circle. You can use that energy to give back to people who, I'm not going to say we're directly harmed by him necessarily, but people who are in situations like that. And when I say give back, it might even be something where it's like you create a headspace where you're like, okay, I'm going to dedicate a little bit of time to thinking about this, talking to people about it, and giving positive energy towards changing that a little bit. I think that's positive. But short answer is I believe you can separate the individual from the work usually. But that's a personal thing. That's something you got to work out. I think these things can be also brought up in therapy because there's a difference between talking about things in a public forum like I'm doing right now versus talking about it in private. There is a difference, especially now when people are worried about getting canceled. People are worried about how their brand is going to be perceived, how they are perceived online. I'm worried about these things. I've been at this for a while and expressing my opinion, and I think that's something that causes us to. I mean, I can imagine at some point if you're gonna try to become a big animator, an artist, and I know that you're trying to do this thing. Every once in a while, someone might ask you who your inspiration is, and you have one of those moments like, oh, now I can't say artist X because artist X did this thing. So yeah, that's going to be part of your personal journey. That's going to be part of your personal growth to figure out how to navigate that. And Neil Gaiman's rule, make good art. So figure out how you exist with that and express yourself within that. It's your job to express yourself as you are figuring these things out, and potentially you can find something that is beautiful and expressive and more importantly connective, that connects you with people and is leaving something that is going to benefit people more and help us connect and help other people express themselves as well. Whether or not those feelings are good or bad, it'll help other people share. I think that's all we can ask for, is for people to be able to share their feelings more. And I know sometimes we're not gonna always agree with it, but that's what life is, you all. We can't agree with each other all the time. You know what I'm saying? All right, thank you for your question. That was a good one, Tommy. I want to remind you guys once again, if you have questions for me, you can hit me at ask@domrabrun.com. Ask@domrabrun.com is a good place for you to send questions in the form of a song, in the form of drawings, in the form of paintings, in the form of a story. You can send me stuff. If you guys want a prompt, you can send me a question from the perspective of a tree next time. Try that. What kind of question would a tree ask a podcaster? See where that goes. Got a question from the legendary Jaden Amjadi. Where does one get started in creating their own set of hieroglyphics? Jaden, I have a really solid short answer for you. First, carry around a sketchbook. You got to start carrying around a sketchbook. Second, look up this video that Grant Morrison did about the occult and magic stuff. You don't have to agree with or believe in whatever he's talking about, but there are very specific instructions he has on creating sigils and sigil magic. To me, it's synonymous with hieroglyphics. He has this thing about deliberately removing vowels from phrases and words that are meaningful and using only the consonant, and then playing around with those to create symbology, your own personal symbology or hieroglyphics. I'll link to that in the show notes as well, but that's how you create hieroglyphics. I love it when I have a really quick answer for something weird like that. I got that shit locked. I got them sticks ready with them answers. Last question from Sounds Like Knee from YouTube. Sounds Like Knee asks, have you seen Chernobyl or Barry? If so, what are your thoughts? No. I have not seen those. And people keep telling me, you gotta watch Chernobyl. And speaking of problematic things, I have weird feelings about people telling me I gotta watch Chernobyl. I know it's a good show. I know that. But it's like saying you gotta watch Slavery. What's Slavery? Slavery, that new show on HBO, African Slavery. It specifically documents the African slave trade for for 40 years, specifically in a moment of time. What? We're watching depressing real life historical shit right now. I feel like this says a lot about us, honestly. I don't know that I want to take part in Chernobyl. I don't know that I want to know. I like hearing people tell me about shows more than I like watching them. as a rule. Barry is the same way. I hear it's really good, but I'm sitting here doing this. I'm talking to you all, and my time is becoming more limited. I just gotta admit that to myself. What I am watching sounds like me. What I can tell you that I am watching is Euphoria with Zendaya, who I think my heart does a little every time I see her. That's how I feel when I see Zendaya. She's a great actress. That show is beautiful, gut wrenching a lot of the time, very very gut wrenching. But I like Euphoria right now. Well, I watch My Hero Academia whenever my roommate is watching it. He's also watching Food Wars, Cooking Wars, Chef Battle, Cooking Battle, something like that. The one where people are cooking, the anime. Yes. As we taxi off into the distance to our next destination, which will be DSE 34, I want to thank you all for being here, for being with me on this journey that's happening every day, every moment. When you don't see me here, I'm running around through the building that is Dom Sketchcast, the building that is somehow living. And there are rooms here. There are some rooms that I want to get to, some rooms I don't want to get to. There are people in some of these rooms. There are more rooms that I can imagine, and I'm going to keep running through and trying to open these doors and solve whatever's inside of them, or have a conversation, or whatever needs to happen inside of these rooms. I'm happy that you existed with me in this moment, and I hope that's going to continue to happen. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for hopping on patreon.com/valet. Shout out to you new patrons. I don't want to say your names because I haven't gotten consent from some of you new ones, but always got to shout out the valets of old, the valets who have always been around. Curtis, Tommy Tootsters, Club Mammoth, he's a new one. Club Mammoth, thank you for being there. One more, Tyler Wood. And the top patron, of course, last but not least, Asa James. Yes, hop on there, check out the content. Don't forget to comment with me, engage with me on there, because I will change based on what you guys say to me. And one more thing, the Discord. Got to plug the Discord. There are links to that in the show notes. Hop in the Discord, chat with me, chat with a bunch of people who are like you. We have some amazing, amazing artists in there. Justin's in there. You can talk to Chandler, who has War, a radio show that happens weekly, and some of the proceeds of that go to donations. Actually, all of them do. Chandler's always playing great music on there. Anna's on the Discord. Anna the Unknown, who you all have seen around. Ryan Tomchuk is on the Discord. We got Arthur Warburton, who floats through the Discord. Nick Tafani's on the Discord. Diggs sometimes comes through the Discord. A lot of great artists. I hope to see you there. Valets have a very special secret chat called Valet Parking in there, where they can talk directly to me and some of the other valets. Talk amongst yourselves, and I'm guaranteed to talk to you on there. So yeah, thank you for being here. Hope to see you next time.